Hey, everybody, in this episode of iTalk Movies, we're getting up close and personal with writer, producer, actor Tom Malloy. Let's do it.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's iTalk Movies.
Hey, everybody, a little Panic at the Disco playing us into this episode of iTalk Movies. This is the show, of course, where we talk to people both in front and behind the camera to bring you all that great entertainment you get to see at the movie theater, at home, maybe on your mobile streaming device. I'm your host, Frank Moran. Now, my guest today has the distinction of being my first returning guest, which now makes him my favorite guest.
Yes. All right.
This is a man of many talents. He is a motivational speaker. He's a ballroom dancer, a singer, a writer, poker player, producer, actor, but most importantly, folks, he danced with Betty White. His latest film is #Screamers, which has toured the festival circuit, is on iTunes and video on demand, and is going to come out on Amazon on July 17th. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Tom Malloy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Look at the studio audience.
Look at that. They're going crazy.
Freaking out.
Yes,
That's amazing.
Yes.
Great.
So I'm sure you're just like, oh, wow, finally reunited. Here we go. Panic at the Disco. You were mentioning before we started this that you like to play songs that have some kind of connection with Hollywood.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's like you can go down the list of songs I love to listen to, like I Will Talk and Hollywood Will Listen by Robbie Williams, and I Love L.A. by, who's the guy from Toy Story?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That guy, yep.
You know what I'm talking about? Randy Newman.
Yes,
God.
that is
And then there's another I Love L.A. by a newer, like a boy band group, but it's another one that's great. So I love all those kind of songs. Yeah, motivational songs, you know what I mean? Like, but industry-based. Yeah.
Now, are those things that you'll just listen to kind of get you in a frame of mind, or say if you're writing or something like that, or you're getting ready for a presentation, you'll pop those on?
Yeah, no, more it just gets you in a positive frame of mind. For writing, it's I need pure silence, like that's kind of my thing. And then before I go on set, funny enough, I got this from Elizabeth Moss. She was the first person. I did a film called The Attic way back where she played my sister, and she would just walk around with headphones and on an iPod, and I said, "What do you listen to?" And she's like, "I'm just relaxing, like classical music." And and it was that at the time synced with something I had read from Michael Caine that talks about like perfect relaxation before a scene. So I'm like, okay. So I will literally walk around with headphones and either classical or Enya or something super relaxing right before I go on, even if it's a crazy scene. Like it's best to be as zen and relaxed as possible before you go out. So.
I've read that other actors will kind of curate a playlist for the character, what kind of music that character would listen to.
Yeah.
For you, is that anything that ever intrigued you, or you're like, nope, I'd rather just do this approach?
I could see where that would be beneficial to some people, and if it gets them in the right frame of mind, then I think it's perfect. But again, I still think with anything, especially like a performance that you really want to give it your A game, it's like, and that could be a basketball, something like that, or a football. The relaxation is the best thing possible. It's like the meditating boxer before the fight, you know what I mean? Like, or the praying boxer before the fight, the same kind of thing. So, yeah.
So it is that once you get finished with the scene, you will head back to the trailer, or even if it's just on set at the Video Village. First thing you do is you'll pop that.
Well, yeah, unless somebody's talking to me.
No,
yeah. And I'm like, don't you talk, don't even look at me. No, that's kind of my thing. Yeah, I'll just kind of float around the background. Just doing that, especially if it's, obviously if it's a comedy, it's a little lighter. It's, everybody can joke around. But if it's a serious thing, yeah, I'd love the silence is the best thing. I love it. Yeah.
Now, as I mentioned in the intro, you had the opportunity to dance with a legend.
Yes.
With Betty White.
Yeah.
What was that day like for you?
Oh, that was great. I mean, she was so awesome. And she comes on to me in the scene, which is really fun, and that's great. But it was just like she was everybody's grandma, and just I remember the director, a guy named Rob Isco, who's been around for years. I mean, he choreographed Jesus Christ Superstar, and then he, was on Broadway director. Then he directed She's All That, which was the kind of started the teen movie trend in the 90s. He was the director, and he was going around to the extras like, wait, who are you? Like, meaning what was their role that he had assigned them to remember? And he was like, who are you? Who are you? And he kind of comes to, and Betty's like, I'm a star of television. And it was just so cute. Like, she was just part of the crowd. And she was just great. I mean, like, we were dancing, and it was so funny because she was losing her breath. I mean, she's in their 90s, and she was losing her breath very quickly. So I had to dip her as gingerly as possible when I was dancing with her, so I didn't, kill Betty White, which would be bad.
You had a national treasure in your hands. That's right. Yes. Yeah. A lot of people looking at you, Tom, what have you done?
I've said that before. I said if you did that, you could win the Nobel Peace Prize, and you'd still be known as the jerk that killed Betty White. They'd be like, here's the guy that killed Betty White. Yeah. So no, she was just fantastic. So yeah.
When you get a chance to meet somebody that is regarded as a legend for that. For you, do you fan out a little bit, or do you kind of keep it contained?
I keep it contained. I'm trying to think, because there's people that I geek out for, and it would be the most unusual people. Yeah, and it's not because, I mean, she was great, and I was anxious in that to show my A game with her, and so in the acting state, I get extremely competitive. So it's like I'm doing a scene I haven't done it yet, but with, say, Robert De Niro, there'd be no geeking out. It'd be like, oh, I'm gonna show you I'm better than you. Like that's my mindset. But then, like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, like I met him, we hung out, and it was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm drinking beers with Steve Austin. Like that was just so geeking out for me. It's usually people that are not in the acting field. Like, I do jiu-jitsu for a long time, so like the gods of the jiu-jitsu world, when I meet those guys, I freak out, and like I'm like, all right. So they're probably looking at me going, oh, I wish I could be doing what he's doing, and it's like, whatever. Who knows?
That's right, because I feel like that is just a great revelation of somebody's background, their history, about who it is in the world that will kind of make them kind of geek out about it.
Yeah. Because it's really strange. I mean, there's been times where I've been in front of people that I'm like, if I was a different person, I'd be freaking out right now. Well, yeah, one time at Sundance with my publicist, Charles, he brought, this is going to be hysterical that I can't even remember his name. Who's the quarterback of the damn, you're going to kill me. Aaron Rodgers. We're at a party with multiple parties with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm like, and I didn't care because I don't watch football really. And it's like, I'm sure other people would have killed their families to be at a party with Aaron Rodgers and going to multiple parties. And I was like, oh, he's another guy, like to me. But that's because I'm not a football guy. If he was, I can't think of somebody else, but, somebody else that in this, I watch UFC. So if he was, Hoist Gracie or somebody, then I would have been the same way.
I have to imagine from their point of view, it's almost kind of nice to have that instead of somebody that's going to be like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, my gosh, that Super Bowl victory. It's just like, I'm just talking to you as just a guy hanging out. What are you doing? What are you about?
100%. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Sundance, but you were more recently at another small, tiny film festival in France, Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, teeny one, very small.
Yeah, a little tiny one.
Kind of flash in the pan. I don't think it's going to be around long.
Not your first time there.
Yeah, it's a fifth. Yeah.
So is it just as exciting going your fifth time, or does it become just like routine?
No, I love the Cannes Film Festival every time because it's definitely, I'm a huge Oscar fan too, right? For years, I mean, I'm talk about something I geek out on, but like movies, if you ask me the year, I can almost always tell you Best Picture. My 2000s and up are weaker, but go back, 27 was the first Best Picture winner, Wings. Any of you, name a year, and I usually could tell you which one Best Picture. If you want to test me, you can try live. You can try to test me.
All right, 47.
47. Oh, that year. Well, I couldn't get that year. No. Let's see. 45 is 43. 43 is Casablanca. 44 is going my way. 45 is last Gentleman's Agreement. It's 46 is Gentleman's Agreement. Well, you said 47?
Yes.
I think I'm going to go with Best Years of Our Lives. Can somebody fact check it?
Anthony, can you fact check that in the booth, please?
I already looked it up, and he's right. It's the best years of our lives.
Look at this man.
Thank you. So anyway, this was the beginning of the story. Is that the Oscars have gotten to the point where it's like everybody's too cool. Like you in Hollywood, you can't like respect film without being, like it's like, well, we got to tongue-in-cheek, like, and you got to make fun of movies as being the Oscar host. Cannes still regards film as like royalty, and the film stars as royalty, and the most important person in Cannes is the director of the festival, Thierry Frémaux. Like if we had Cheryl Boone Isaacs in the waiting room right now, I may not even be able to tell you what she looked like. Maybe that's her. I don't. She could walk right by me. In France, in Cannes, they kissed the ring of this guy. And I have seen the major judges. I mean, this year's Cate Blanchett, Will Smith last year. I mean, like, kiss his butt because he is the king. And it's got that royalty and that formality of respect for the art of movies, and it's like no one's too cool to walk the Cannes red carpet. Like it's just, and I love that. I love the respect of the art. You know what I mean? Like, and so who knows? Maybe it gets pretentious, but I don't look at it that way. I love it. So that's what I love about Cannes.
Now going there, I assume for work, financing, meeting with people. What is it like when you're heading there? Not necessarily to walk the red carpet, but you're there to try to get financing for a project that you want to get up and going.
Well, I love it. I mean, I also co-own a sales and distribution company as well called Glasshouse Distribution with a guy named Brian Glass. And so I had employees there selling films. And so they're not the films that I'm in. They're other films. And So there's a lot of business going on. I mean, and so at the same time, the Marché du Film, which is the trade show, for lack of a better word, where you're selling films, is going on, and it's kicking butt. And I just that. Look, the food's okay too, but France is it's a magical place. The best way to describe it is it's half LA, half Paris, and you're talking about two things that I love in one spot. It's golden,
Well, on your Instagram, there's a picture of you making it there, and you decide, hey, I'm going to really sink into a French staple, and that is a Royale with cheese.
So funny, yes. You know what? It's been the 5th time, and so I finally had the Royale with cheese because of Pulp Fiction. You know what I mean? And I just, for those maybe watching that don't know what that means, is that, he asked for it's the scene with John Travolta and Sam Jackson when he says the different things in Europe. And I think he's talking about Amsterdam, but he says, why don't they have the Royale with cheese? Yeah. Or why don't they have the quarter pounder? He's like, because of the metric system. And that becomes a joke later on in the movie. So I had to have the Royale with cheese, and which was great, by the way. Every food over there is great because they don't mass produce like us. Like their burger actually tastes like a burger. You know what I mean? It's incredible. And somebody even posted on the Instagram, a foreign actress was like, "Oh, you stupid Americans! Like, why don't you go pick up a crepe or something?" I was like, one, it's my 5th year, and so I've been eating crepes for 4 years prior to that, or croissants before. And I said, 2, I was doing it because of the movie. And then she was like, "Oh, she didn't realize that's what I was talking about." But she thought I was just like one of those idiot Americans that had to go over and I gotta get a burger because I'm in.
That's right.
It's gonna make me feel like home or something.
Gotta eat what I'm comfortable with. That's it. Yep.
Which I'm the complete opposite. It's like, what is as exotic as possible in this location that I could eat, or what are they known for? That's what I do every time I travel. I love that. So,
well, you don't necessarily have to travel to eat something exotic, because also on your Instagram feed you have a great thing, a rattlesnake.
Oh my God, that's great! I like that you stalked my Instagram a little. That was amazing.
Yes.
I did. I ate rattlesnake a week ago. Yeah, it was a rattlesnake and rabbit sausage. And it's a place, it's like a hot spot in downtown LA called Wurstkuch, which sounds ridiculous, but Wurstkuche with dots above a couple of those letters. But anyway, Wurstkuch, and it was it was a rattlesnake and rabbit sausage. It was fantastic. Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was incredible. Yeah.
Because I don't know if I were looking at the menu, that would be the one thing I'd be like, I've got to try that combination.
If anybody that knew me well could look at the menu and go, oh, that's what Tom's going to get. Like, I remember one time I ate dinner with my parents. I was somewhere, because it was in New York City, and I was meeting them for, I think it might have been my mom's birthday. And before I got there, they had looked at the menu, and one of the things was antelope. And they were like, Tom's going to order that. The second I sat down, I looked, and I'm like, oh, antelope, I got to try. Like, I just love the most exotic, wacky things. Like, that's just kind of my thing.
And what do you think that your percentage for success is on something like that? Is it usually high, or it's even if just the experience of it?
Yeah, meaning, how many times have I not liked it and been ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head a time where I was like, ugh, this was a mistake. I can't think of a time when I could usually it's in a nice restaurant, and I wouldn't order if it had things that I didn't like on it. Like, I'm not a big peppers guy. Like, if it had peppers all over it, I probably wouldn't order it in the first place. So it would turn me off to that. So, but gosh, I can't think of something where, the monkey brains, the one time. No, I'm kidding. I never had. No, I can't think of it. I'm sorry. No, it's been successful across the boards. It's been successful. I mean, and maybe it's just because I'm ready to try something. Like, even when I was a kid, I always wanted sushi when I was a kid. And there's people that don't want to keep that open mind. Like, I used to say, there's two people in sushi. There's people that love sushi and people that have never had it. And then you go, do you like sushi? They go, oh. You go, but you ever try it? And like, no. It's like, well, how did you make the face if you didn't try the sushi? So I've always been open to trying exotic foods.
Well, I have to admit, cartoons would be the thing that would kind of get me excited about foods in life.
Yeah.
If you watch any the old Tom and Jerry or cartoons where they'd eat ham, but right off the bone, and they would just stick it in their mouth and pull it out. And I always wanted, you're never able to replicate that experience in real life, but just I want to be able to just stick a ham and pull it out.
Or the fish where the full skeleton's left after
right.
it. Yeah, that's very funny. Yes.
Now, speaking of successful, for you, what is the definition of success when you come back from Cannes?
Oh, specifically Cannes?
Yes.
Well, sales of the movies with my company, so there's dollar amounts. But for me, it's more about partnerships and and future potential projects. So the successful development on some things, and we formed some partnerships over there too. Actually, I can think of off the top of my head, which were could really pay off in the future. So that was it. Yeah.
Because I remember from our last time talking,
Oh, wow.
you're somebody like, if you get 100 business cards, you are going to be the person that's going to send 100 emails
Yes.
following up with everybody.
Yes, notoriously, yes.
So coming back from Canada, where there's just people from all around the world descending on that location, what's that like doing your post follow up?
Well, it's, you have to stay on everybody and just get, and try to make meetings and stick on them because people want to just, everybody wants to talk a big game and then maybe not follow up on it or do anything about it. So I always feel like I can beat the other guy by following up and staying on people. So I just don't let them get away until it's like, no, we're not going to do anything together. Like I'll stay persistent and keep following up. I mean, maybe I've gotten a little bit more consolidated with my approach for busyness, or for the fact that I am busy. Like I have a guy that works for me, and I always say if there's something like meaning, let's put it this way, he'll take a meeting when there's where I would feel there's no shot of anything coming for this meeting. He'll take that meeting and sit through an hour and a half. I won't do that anymore. I just don't do it because it's like, it's economy of time, and it's like, and if I had time, I'd love to, you know what I mean? Talk and I'd end up giving advice, blah, blah, blah. But he'll take those meetings and try to spin gold from them, and I won't do them anymore. So I just go, hey, well, maybe we'll work together in the future. We'll figure something out. You know what I mean? And that's, if we can't, then it's all good. So.
Well, I think there's something to be said by gaining wisdom as you go throughout your career, where maybe in the earlier days you will do all that
Yes.
stuff, but now with experience, you were like, this
Totally.
is just not the best use.
It's wisdom and it's efficiency. You know what I mean? Like even when I was early on, if you were saying, oh, I'd love to do a action movie with you, Tom, I'd go and I'd write the damn script and I'd get a business plan going and I'd show up the next day and be like, I got all this, and then it's like, I realized too soon, that it was like, most of the stuff didn't turn out to be anything. So now my amount of effort that I could put is very efficient and low until it becomes real. It's like there's times where I haven't lifted a finger until it's like, okay, like this is gonna happen. All right, the money's gonna be transferred. Let's see it. The money's transferred. Okay, now I work. Now I do it. So it's just truly it's a matter of God having kids, having 2 kids, having what I mean, and just being efficient with your time. Time is the most valuable thing. And once I got that through my head, that time is more important than everything else, then that was, that's the one thing you can't take with you. So
I feel like that's an easy thing to say, but a hard thing to kind of master.
Yeah. And, I think it was a book called The One, I believe, and it was a bestseller about focusing on less. And I started doing that. I started, immediately cutting off projects. Like I had friends that were, have 10 projects in development and 0 out of 10 would be made, or maybe 1 out of 10. I do maybe 2 to 3. That's it. And one of those 3 is guaranteed going to be made. So it's like I used to be the guy with 10. I'm not anymore. I'm so much more like, you meet this guy and I step out of it, and everybody's trying, well, if you meet this guy, I want a piece. I go take it. And they go, oh, why? Like you don't want to get, no, because it's, to me, it's more about time. I have time to follow up and make sure I get the percentage of this. I just go, here, meet this guy and run, go for it. That's it.
Would you, if somebody was coming up and asking you for advice, would you tell them what you say, how you approach it now, or would you tell them get 10 projects in development at first and go that route, and because you never know what might land?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Let me answer it this way. I heard a story that Bill Gates' his father, who's a lawyer, and he was talking with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who were completely different. You got this nerdy, Seattle computer guy, and then you got this Omaha investor, very slow Southern guy. And he asked them both to write on a piece of paper the one word that they would attribute their success to. These 2 guys could not be, but they're the first and second, at the time, first and second richest people in the world. And it could not be any more different. They are so completely different. And they wrote down, they gave it to Bill Gates' father. He took them both and looked at both pieces of paper, and it was the exact same word, and it was focus. And I think about that a lot, that, focus is the ultra successful path. I haven't focused on certain things. I've been all over the place. And so I feel that once I started, I hate to say focusing, I am focusing more on focus, but like focusing myself, that's when, things started happening better. So I would tell them, focus, maybe develop in different things and change your approach, but don't scatter yourself 1,000 places, because you'll never get, it's like writing a screenplay and trying to fix every character as you're writing. It's impossible. Focus on the ending. As soon as you get to the end, then you can go back and rewrite it. But, just keep it narrow. Does that explain it? I don't know. Yeah,
It does. Now, for the distribution side, for the company that you co-own,
yeah.
when it comes to looking at the projects that you want to take under for your company, do you kind of go by your own personal taste? Do you look at also like, I think it doesn't really matter if I like it or not, if I think it can be successful?
All of that, it's like, and cast obviously is super important, but we wanted to set a high bar for films like early on, because the guy that was financing it and partnering with me was like, just take every film. And I'm like, that's a big mistake. I go, 'cause then we'll be known as, a crappy company that just takes anything. And so we wanted to, maybe we rep, I'd say almost close to 30 films now, because it's been about 2 years. We started the company 2.5 years. And out of 30, I'd say 25 I'd be willing to show you, and you'd go, wow, these movies are great. The other 5 are like, okay, like they may not be, but we were a young company, you know what I mean? And so, and some of those that in the 5 had serious cats, so we knew we could sell them, but there was like, oh, this movie's not that great. But, we tried to set a high bar. So it's like, I used to try to think, because I have 4 people now in the company. I used to try to think everybody had to agree on it, but now it's like if somebody really gets behind it, goes, this is the one, then we'll just go, okay, we'll take it. So yeah,
because I have to imagine like finding for films to be successful. I mean, it's there's so many films competing in the box office right now, and success can be measured in various different degrees, but so challenging. So when you have so many coming through with you, even with great casts and stuff aside, there's only so much time.
Yep.
You're talking about focus.
Yeah.
How do you end up having to make those tough decisions where it's like, I'm gonna have to let these go and focus just on this one?
Yeah, I mean, because it's like I look back and there's some movies that I took that I thought were going to be great and really sell well, and they didn't, and so yes, that the answer there is now David Lawrence, who's our head of acquisitions. He does more of the acquisitions, and then he watches all of them, and then if he goes, check this out, then I know it's a good one. But out of 10 films, he'll say 1, check it out, So maybe there's times where we had to, we had a great spelling bee movie, of documentary prior to Cannes, and it just couldn't, the deal that they wanted couldn't work, and we kind of let it go on that. So it's sometimes it happens where it's just, you go, yeah, and we were trying to rush it and get it all set, a trailer and a poster before Cannes. It was like, that's not going to happen. So we've kind of let it go. Yeah. So.
Now, how much is working on the distribution side affected how you approach the projects that you're working on and you're creating?
Okay, so actor, writer, producer Tom's over here, and then film sales on the other side. For the first time this year, we made a film called Trauma Therapy with the company's money. So this is the first time I've meshed the two worlds together, let's just say. And so in looking at that film, we looked at who could we sell it to, who, some names we can get into. Can we do it for a price? You know what I mean? Like, so it was kind of our toe in the water for the company. It's like it was low budget, obviously, and because we didn't want to, risk too much money going out and not, have success. But I believe we're going to have very good success with the film, and so but it came out fantastic. So
we will talk about that. In fact, you mentioned Trauma Therapy.
Yeah.
First foray for you with your production company, your distribution company. Yeah. So why don't we play the trailer right now of Trauma Therapy?
Yeah, sure. This was a sales trailer for Cannes. I mean, the backstory is it's 4 people go to a retreat to get cured of their problems, and they meet a Tony Robbins type guy, who's me, and it's really an ensemble cast, but it starts to go bad. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Thank you for coming. All right, believe in yourself.
Why are you here? What is it that you want for your life?
I'm offering you a new opportunity.
This treatment is worth every penny, and believe me, I know this is not a small amount of money we are talking about.
You were chosen by fate to take a step forward today.
Tobin wants to test out the results.
None of you are alone. You're part of a team, so there could be no distractions, no mysteries. I am not here to lie to you or to cheerlead you. I'm here to change you.
You guys, there's something really wrong here.
I am your guide. I am your future. When a broken bone is not tended to properly, it needs to be rebroken and set in place in order to heal. There will be sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice if you want it bad enough?
I don't know about this. I feel like it's bringing out the worst in me.
You want all the attention? Is that it? Is that it, Beth? Matt.
In the face of danger, what are you made of?
I'm scared.
Every problem requires a unique solution.
There you go.
Look at that. So that's with Brian Krause. You may know him from Charmed, Stephanie Cleo from Altered Carbon, and Chase Coleman from the originals.
Yeah, all great. And Luciana Faulhaber, Emily Humble, David Lawrence, Vince Lozano, everybody played their role just fantastic. It was great. A lot of fun. A lot of fun shooting that one. So
now, of course, you mentioned sort of an Anthony Robbins type thing, but your background from motivational speaking as well. What's it like to do something like this, but kind of turn it on its head?
Super fun. I mean, I just loved it. Playing a bad guy was just great. I mean, it's Screamers. I play a head of a company that's very much a positive person, but you could look at that guy and be like, God, he's a jerk because he pushes it forward. So that borderline, that was putting my foot in the water of playing a jerk, you know what I mean? But this was the first true bad guy I had that has evil intentions somewhat. And oh man, it's fun. It's fun just, yelling at cast and, being in character was awesome. So super fun. Yeah.
Now, is it pretty much just the understanding I said, this is going to be intense, but as soon as they call cut, we'll just have a nice little laugh.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, as long as it's cut, you know what I mean? Cause I won't talk to them or anything if it's still we're doing another take, and then if I hear the words moving on, then it's all right, cool, but if it's there, I'll keep focused and, doing my pace around with that classical music or Enya music blasting right here. So, yeah.
So for a motivational speaker, with your background in it, was it easy to decide this is definitely how I can twist this to take something that can be very helpful to people, but turn it around to make it something that can be truly threatening?
100%. I mean, it was plus I had studied other motivational speakers in the past when I did it, years ago for kids. It was that kind of, you could, if you were a bad person as a motivational speaker, you can, really manipulate people. Jim Jones, the Waco guy, David Koresh, at the end of the day, they were motivational speakers. Hitler, I mean, these are motivational speakers. So if you had bad intentions, you could really do some horrible things meaning you're so dynamic, that people will follow you. So I took that and even incorporated some stories from other motivational speakers and tried to just twist them a little evil, in there, and it was fun. Super fun. Yeah.
Now, you're mentioning Screamers. So, I mean, Tour of the Festival Circuit finally came out on iTunes Video On Demand. Yeah. It's going to be coming out on Amazon on July 17th. What's it like now to finally go through that circuit, but now finally have it for wide release for everybody to be able to see?
It was great. I mean, when it was in theaters through Dread Central, Epic Pictures, Dread Central, and that was in April. But the key is Dread Central only has, what they have is partner theaters that want to do these Dread Central movies, and so whatever they had them out, 20 in the country. So it was only 20 spots. So people are like, I'm dying to see it. So now it's great, you can see it at all these places, and it had the TVOD window, the transactional VOD, where you have to pay for it. But now it's July 17th coming to SVOD. So if you have Amazon, and there's a couple more subscription-based ones that'll be on that you can see it for free. But it was great. I mean, we. Dean Ronalds, who was the director, and I, we just meshed perfectly on the film, and it was the first film. That was my 12th film produced. Trauma Therapy was my 15th film I produced. Screamers was the first film where 100% of my vision is what happened, the movie came out as. So, meaning, when I mentioned that movie The Attic with Elizabeth Moss, I also wrote that, and The Alphabet Killer with Eliza Dushku. Those movies, I would say The Attic was maybe 10% of what I wanted it to be. Alphabet Killer maybe 30%. Love and Dancing maybe 40%. So meaning, if you go, I didn't like Love and Dancing, I'd be in my head, I'd be thinking, if I just had my 60% extra, you would have loved it. Screamers, it's if you don't like it, I'm like, well, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I mean, it's my movie. It's I painted this picture. It's exactly what I wanted. If you don't like it, then you didn't like the art. I don't care. You know what I mean? But see, so meaning there's nothing where I'm second guessing going, well, God, if I had only done this, the movie that came out is exactly the film I had in my head. So I'm happy about that.
For you, what is the learning curve like from the first film that you put together up to the 12th? Is that very different from the 12th to the 15th?
That's good. That was a surprise question at the end. So the learning curve was definitely there. Well, every film, I had a line producer friend that had done like 40 plus movies say this to me. He says he knows everything about crew and rates and all this stuff, but every film is a brand new lesson on managing personalities, and that's it. You know, it's like you go and you have to deal with things that you would every film. Like, you know, you didn't. This guy doesn't freaked out because you put chocolate in his dessert. It's like, what? That's an actual problem now. Oh, one guy, I'm not gonna call it what the actor was, freaked out because the heat was turned up too high in the cabins, because we had to shoot this in cabins that they were staying at. Freaked out, and said, maybe you should recast me, like, because the heat was up one night. I swear to God. And it was like we didn't intentionally hotbox the guy, but and now it's a joke that he's I think he was just overreacting at the time. But it's so funny. Like, every film you've got something where you go, wow. I mean, I think the key now is that it doesn't bother me as much. You know what I mean? I go, all right. You know what I mean? Like, and back, that would have put me in the hospital. A perfect example. There was a movie I made called Ashley, which is an LGBT film about a lesbian, like, wrist cutter. That was like really an anti-bullying film. And at 2 a.m, Brian Ronalds, who was my producing partner on that, called me and said the sound guy quit. 2 a.m. We're shooting at 6. And so 4 hours. So I got up and I just flashed water in my face. I went on Craigslist, put an ad, and then I just started texting people. And I had the position filled in 40 minutes. And that guy ended up being there, I think, like a half hour before he even started. Like 5:30, he showed up and was, it was fixed. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm a producer now. Like, maybe 10 years prior to that would have put me in the hospital. I would have freaked out. And now it's like, like even that guy threatened to quit. It's like, that was a little edgy, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it didn't like mess up my day that much. You know what I mean? I was like, we'll get
Is
through.
it something where, as you said, kind of like that, the way you've kind of grown with experience and wisdom and that learning curve, does it just make a lot of the problems, how your reactions to certain difficulties and challenges while you're in production kind of decrease? Or even if there's something like that with that actor, like, you don't really care about it as much now as you would back then, there's still plenty of other things now that kind of replace that.
No, I mean, there's always going to be problems. The best example I can give, and I just was saying this to somebody, I forget where, on some a radio show or something, about Brian Regan, the comedian, was talking about how he would just watch his anthill being built when he was a kid, and then every once in a while he would just take his hand and be like, rebuild, and just ruin all their work for a half hour. And he said there was never a moment where the ants were like, what, come on, like they just started rebuilding without a hesitation. And that's a joke, but I said that I've applied that to my career. It's like, if somebody basically goes, rebuild to me, I go, okay. I never take the moment and go, I go, okay, now we got to do this. So meaning we're doing a movie, and then you go, the art department just quit. And I never go, what are you doing? I'm going to call him and yell at him and blah, blah, blah. I go, okay, give me 3 numbers for art department people right now. So I'm immediately solution oriented, take the emotions out of it. The joke is later on, it's like, I will tell everyone, do not ever work with this art department, and try everything to make sure they don't get jobs. Which, by the way, I also do the opposite. If somebody does something good for me, I'll try to, help them out and get them jobs anywhere in the future. But at the time, it's solutions. It's just solutions. That's it.
True. If you're operating in such a short window that you can't spend that time just like
be like, what?
Let's take a couple of days and just kind of stew about this, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Let's sit around and bitch. Yeah, that means absolutely nothing on the movie set. That does. Yeah, there's nothing gained. So. Yeah.
So now, for you and Dean, as you're putting this film together, Screamers, you're co-writing this, and the idea is kind of based off of like the Catfish movie, just in terms of just that kind of reveal that's there, and kind of like, hey, could we do something that's a little bit more ratchet up the horror?
Yeah, Catfish was initially, that's what was my inspiration. Catfish, it was the first trailers made it look like a horror movie, and it so wasn't. And I remember seeing the premiere and saw that scene where they go to the house in the middle of the night and thought, man, this could be a horror movie. And then it wasn't. Then it's like, oh, she's this woman, not the woman she pretended. Then it's like, okay, whatever. But I thought, man, if you made the same type of movie, but after that it became Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was my initial thought. That's what I wanted to make. Yeah. So I wanted to make something that was super, like, where it literally blurs the lines. Like, one of the critics, a guy named Matt Molgard, who unfortunately passed away, he was one of our early supporters from Dread Central. And he the title of the article was "Screamers Needs to be Seen Immediately," calling me and the other guy, Chris Bano, A-list talent, like, went nuts for this movie. And he was saying he actually thought for the first 45 minutes he was watching a real documentary. And like to me and Dean, there's no higher compliment. That's like fantastic, so which is great, yeah.
So this is, of course, a found footage film.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned you wanted to kind of avoid some of the trappings of other found footage films, a lot of the shaky cam. And the idea, how quickly did it come into the idea of like, if we ground it as a kind of like a docu-horror and shoot it like that as well, and then we'll pull the switch on people like, no, this is not exactly what you think it's going to be. It's a lot more. Was that right away from the initial thought, or is it, as you're kind of building it out, you realized this is how we should approach it?
No, we wanted to. I was like, we went, what is, Dean and I are both horror geeks, and we went, what's the problem with found footage? And there was a movie that I saw called The Gallows that was just a ridiculous premise and just bad acting. And giving the film its credit, it was scary. It was scary. There's no question. But it had that shaky camera, and I was like, all right, I'm done. And all the people that had those, and the people that are kind of critics of found footage, that's what they're complaining about, those three things: bad acting, bad plot, shaky camera. And so we immediately said, let's all three of those, we want it out. We want every performance, we went over that script. Now it was improvised, the dialogue, but we went off an outline of a script, literally I think it was almost a 40-page outline. That's how specifically things were outlined, just no dialogue. And we went over everything because we never wanted somebody to be like, well, why wouldn't Tom just call Frank? Like those moments that we meant over and over in our head. I remember having these meetings and going like, okay, are we sure that they wouldn't just call this guy, to make sure every single T was crossed and I was dotted so nobody could pull it apart. And it's so funny because I'm seeing some people on that haven't seen it, comment on the trailer, go, oh, another found footage or jump scare of the movie, or something like that. And it's like, if you saw it, and you took your time to actually watch it, those are the people that go nuts for it and go, oh, they did something new here. So pretty cool.
I feel like this day and age, though. Well, I guess even like Martin Scorsese and Last Temptation, it's easy to pass judgment on a film without ever actually seeing.
Yeah, you know how many people in there were protesting Last Temptation to Christ never saw the movie, just had no idea why they were protesting it.
But I'll tell you why it's terrible.
Yeah, of course, and it's like, and of course now anybody in their boxer shorts could just go on and just leave comments left and right on your on your crap, and it's like, I don't read that stuff. I try not to read it. Dean reads them all, and I've had other partners I've worked with that read them all, and I just go, I'm staying out of it. I don't want to read it because I'll get fired up, and so I don't read them.
Yeah, if I go down that rabbit hole, there's so many other things you'd be focusing on. Just talking about focus.
No, it's not
energy towards it.
Yeah, yep, 100%.
So, is it easier, do you think, for a cast to work from just where you've kind of beat out the script in terms of 40 pages, kind of an outline, but no specific dialogue?
Yeah.
Does cast really respond to having a kind of freedom to kind of help kind of build the scene?
If they're good, you know what I mean? If they're good. We had really good people, Chris Spano, Griffin Matthews, I got to lose the name, Abby Snee, Manuela Gialisi. Of course, I'm bad on everyone's name. Across the board, I just ruined everybody's name. But they were all great. They were all theater-trained actors, New York City actors. We had Judy Henderson out of New York casting it, who won the Emmy for Homeland. And we just had them come in to answer questions as like a job interview. That was their audition. And why you want to work for the internet company. And, it was like, that's 5 questions. And the one guy, Chris Banout, in the middle of his audition, his phone rings. And he literally, does this and answers the phone. And does this whole thing and answers in character. No, we're not buying media today, giving me the hold on, And all right, look, I'm at a job interview right now, and then goes back and finishes. And I kind of looked at Dean like, well, there's our guy. It was so perfect. And what he had done is he set a timer on his phone to go off 5 minutes into the audition.
Oh,
so he
very
knew
nice.
exactly. I was like, talk about the way to win an audition. You know what I mean? It was perfect.
So as you're talking about, this is a startup online video distribution platform.
Giggler.com. Yeah.
And what I liked is that you actually had, as a creative consultant, you had Eric Bauman from E-Bombs World.
E-Bombs World, an old friend. Yeah.
Yeah, and you took the cast over there to kind of just see what the working situation is like at a place like that.
Yeah, well, he is, God, he's got a new site, and it's one of these, an amazing word, crack.com. It's something like that. And I think it's close to that, crash.com or something. It's an amazing domain now. E-Bombs already sold, so he doesn't even have it, and he's not even associated with it. And, but he came on as a consultant to just show us every aspect of the internet company. And there was a guy that owned a company called CGI Communications that is a media producing and selling company. And we went to his offices, and he basically let us shoot there for free. He was like a fan of movies, and I mean, literally, like we'd be like, "Oh man, we'd love to use the conference room." He's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I'd be like, "Well, there's a meeting there." And he'd go in and kick the people out of the meeting, and let us use the conference room. But Eric just came in, and we asked him every question. You know, what would be an example of a sales meeting? And we put every single aspect of that into the movie. So and Giggler, Gigaler, is an actual site. You know, it's not real, but for the meta background of the movie, you can look up that site, and it's like a media site. It's very funny. So, yeah.
What's it like to actually kind of create that kind of meta site? Because people will watch that movie and go like, I gotta just check it.
Yeah.
Much like if I see a phone number, people want to call it. Is there somebody really on the other end of this?
I love that. I love it. If you really went down the rabbit hole of the movie, there's a lot to like research. I mean, Chris and I at one point say we met each other working for an internet company called DMV-EZ, like to make the DMV easier. That's a site. You can literally go to that site and see this stupid, ridiculous site that we made. And it's phony, obviously, and to making the DMV easier. And I did that just so people, can kind of have fun with it and just play and look into the background of everything. So, yeah.
So the film starts when you get emailed a Screamer video, and these have been around since like the mid 2000s. Where
with the car down the road, the German car commercial was the first one. Yeah.
So now you actually have to in the film create these Screamer videos.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to. What's the recipe for a successful Screamer video that you learned through making them?
Well, anything, we studied them before, and the key I thought with Screamer videos is that the best ones make you go, what's that? You know what I mean? Like the German car one was the first one. You see the car driving down the road, a ghost pops up. And it was unexpected. That's very good. The better ones are where they're pulling your concentration. The ultimate scary to me was the stupid flash maze. Did you ever do that one?
I didn't see that one.
Oh my God. There was 3 levels of a flash maze, and you had to take your cursor and navigate it through this maze. Boom, you got through level 1. Level 2 is a little more difficult. Boom, through level 2. Level 3 was super difficult. And by the way, if any of the time you hit the wall, the game was over. But level 3, you're literally focusing on getting this cursor through the maze, and suddenly, and it scares you. And so what it did is it demanded your focus. So the best screamers are, look in the background here, you can see a guy hanging himself. You see what I'm saying? And then you're looking in the back of the video going, what the hell is that? And then boom, this comes out. That to me is like scare times 10. And we tried to do that with all the scares in the movie. So,
well, what I like about that is that there's a cool thing where you tie into old school, I don't know, like horror in the sense where allusions to Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Francis Tumblety.
Yeah.
Suspected as being one of the people that was really Jack the Ripper.
Most likely it is him. Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like? What made you say like, yeah, that'd be cool to bring in something like that into a modern day film?
Well, because of the location. We were in Rochester, New York, which I have family there, and I'm there a lot. I've done 4 movies or 5 movies there, and so The Alphabet Killer was done there, and so and it's from there, and so I had known for years that one of the prime suspects of Jack the Ripper is buried in Rochester, New York, and I mean we went to his actual grave in the movie, and they have him involved, and as this mysterious character in the movie, so tying in that folklore with Francis Tumblety being the killer, it was really fun, and adding to the questions. We didn't answer all the questions in the first Screamers. But as long as we can get Screamers 2 going, we'll answer a bunch of those questions. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, from my research, that's Jack the Ripper, man. That's the most likely suspect. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm a research guy. I mean, I read nonstop. So, and I've read Patricia Cornwall's ridiculous theories and all that stuff. But it's like, yeah.
Those ones you're passing on Patricia Cornwall?
It doesn't make sense. I think they've been disproven to a certain extent. But no, Tumblety seems to be the guy. So.
Now, of course, anybody that's going to be kind of the boogeyman of a film, it all comes down to the look, designing that look for them. How long did it take to kind of settle on the concept and the look that you had for your character in the film? Great
guy named Russ Adams, who was years ago I mentored as a filmmaker. I used to mentor a lot of filmmaking students. And then he ended up being, and he's a great special effects, visual effects guy, but he was trying to get his own film going, and I was helping him out with that. He ended up being on Jim Henson's Creature Shop Challenge and was one of the most popular people on the show. So that was pretty cool. I think he came in 2nd or something like that. And just a very well-liked guy, really great guy. He wanted to do this for me and wanted to work with me. And so we worked out a deal. And, he went back and forth primarily with Dean on the look. We just wanted something really cool. So we have the Screamers masks. And we've, I think every theater that that showed the movie got a couple and gave them out to the audience members and stuff like that. So maybe we got to set up something to sell them. But the Francis Tumblety mask is available. So so we have our screamers.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Now, is it based on drawings or whatnot of what he was purported to look like?
No, they were based on Russ and Dean's minds.
Russ
gave us comps, and then Dean said change this, change that, blah blah blah. That's funny enough. There are certain things that would be my skill, and art direction is not one of my skills. That's like I don't do that, so I stayed out of that one. So
one of the question I had, you used a digital Bowls camera.
A digital Bolex. Yeah.
Now it's not made anymore. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, what happened was it was a camera that came out, and I think it was funded by Kickstarter, and I loved it right away because I have a big thing about films being shot too good looking. It's great for documentary or sports, but for movies, the cleaner it looks, the more it doesn't look real. It does not look real. So you go back and you watch a movie like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I worship that movie. Shot on Super 16, or it might have even been regular 16 millimeter. And it's blown out and it's grainy, but it works, man. It really, you go, oh, this is real. And so the digital Bolex was the first camera that looked like 16 millimeter film. I'd never seen a digital camera that did that. So I kind of threw around my resume to them and told them I'm a fan of the camera, and they gave it to us for free. So we shot, and then unfortunately returned the camera afterwards, and then I was going to buy it and then found out the company's out of business and we couldn't get the camera. So it's done, but we may have been the only movie ever shot on a digital Bolex. But and not to go out of stupid high horse, but it's like I see this and I wonder, like, when people are reviewing films or watching them, the stupid new TVs with what they call the soap opera effect. You've seen that? Mm-hmm. I can't stand that. And if you watch Screamers or really any movie, up to the big studios with that crap soap opera effect on your stupid screen, it ruins it. It makes the movie look like it cost 2 cents to shoot. It's like, please, folks, you can literally Google. I did it. I just at my cousin's house, and we were watching the trailer for something, and I said, I can't take this. And I went in, and I knew how to do the settings on their TV. But if you don't, you can Google how to do whatever your TV model is, how to get that off, and you actually make it look like a freaking movie. And so that's, I highly recommend people do that, because you're not seeing the movie the way it was supposed to be shot. You're seeing it, and again, you know what I'm talking about. It makes it look like, I remember the first time I saw it was a Johnny Depp and Christian Bale, like a gangster film, the one where they're robbing the banks. Oh, yeah. And I went, oh my God, this looks like it cost 2 cents. It looked horrible. The acting looked horrible, everything. And now I'm sure the movie was fine, but it was because of that HD effect that the TVs are trying to simulate. It made it look like the movie was shot on my, not my iPhone would be better. I was going to insult iPhones. It was shot on my, my corded video camera from 1982, whatever. So it didn't look good.
Well, it's always where I've seen that too as well with a film you know really well, and then you see it,
and then you're like, what? Yeah.
It looks so weird.
Horrible.
Presented in this fashion.
Yeah, we got off on a tangent there, but anyway, the digital Bolex was great. Yeah, I wish it was back. I just love 16 millimeter. I love that film grain. I just love, when that's to me makes it, for a horror movie especially, you need the grain. You need the, the lighting. You don't want to make it look the second looks too pretty. It's like you're giving away all the, it makes it feel comfortable, and you don't want you to feel comfortable in a horror movie. Especially, I brought up Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You don't feel comfortable the whole movie. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Oh, it's an easy thing. It's just a couple of, this house in Texas. It's fine. Sure. Now, what happens to Screamers 2? That goes into production. You no longer have the Bolex.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be a found footage movie, so that's the cool thing about Screamers 2 is a narrative, and it's more concerned about the investigation of what happened to these people, and then going down the rabbit hole more into the whole Francis and Jack the Ripper connection. So it's not going to be. It's going to be more like Sinister, or one of those films where it's a somebody trying to look back. If you remember the original Sinister with Ethan Hawke, somebody trying to look back and find out what happened in the past, and so it'll be fun.
Because I feel like with a quick tangent, like the Paranormal Activity movies, the first one's successful, and then they start branching onto it. But I also felt like they never really had a clear-cut plan at the beginning, and they were just kind of have to retrofit.
Yeah,
everything.
They just stepped in. Yes, they stepped in poo, and they did it as and I say that because my kids are but they they didn't. All they thought, we're making a $15,000 movie. Let's see what happens. And then obviously it went nuts, and they had to do it. We, in our minds, thought we had something really amazing. I'd rather have it the other way. I'd rather not think and have paranormal. But we did plan it out. We even had a pre-story before that, and that we shot a little bit in Italy, like a little short film that we didn't release yet. So there was a lot of thought going into the whole mythology of it. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so Tom, as we're getting ready to wrap here, if everybody wants to keep up to date on what's happening with Screamers, what's the best place to kind of follow all the excitement online?
Well, Screamers has its own site, screamersthemovie.com, and that's their, that'll have updates about the movie. Yeah, so or you're saying about me, or you're talking about Screamers?
Well, just Screamers for right
Screamers.
now.
Okay, screamersthemovie.com is where that is, and Epic Pictures at Dread Central is also, Epic Pictures bought Dread Central, which is one of the top horror sites. So Dread Central will always have updates because that's who released the film. So yeah.
And of course, if they want to find out what cool things you're doing or what exotic foods you're eating, where's the best place to follow you?
Thank you. Yes, that's Tom Malloy on Instagram, TomMalloy. TomMalloy.com is my website. TomMalloyComedy.com is the comedy stuff that I do, which is also on the side. And then Tommy Malloy on Twitter.
Look at that. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the iOS closing.
Oh, God, it's I was
thing.
floored. I'm in floored. I'm trying to send my son to Second City as like a kids camp for the summer. He's 11. He's going into 6th grade, and but it's just the iOS was an institution. It sucks.
It's weird to have it gone.
Yeah.
Let's end it on a more positive. Go see Screamers, folks. Go see that.
Thank you. Yes,
I guess it's been Tom Malloy. Make sure you follow him and check out Screamers as well. I've been your host, Frank Moran. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. We'll see you back here next time for another episode of iTalk Movies right here on Popcorn Talk. Bye, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.